Hey, 6th grade. We are getting started on Module 9, Lesson 3. The title of it is Use Multiplication and Division Equations to Solve Problems. On page 287, we have our I can statement, what we should be able to do by the end of this lesson. It says, I can write and solve equations using multiplication and division to represent real-world situations involving an unknown. And now we're going to flip our page over to 288, starting at the top with build understanding. Alright, so in the previous lesson, you learned to solve addition equations with a variable by subtracting. How do you think we're going to solve a multiplication equation? Well, for number 1, it says a group of 4 people goes apple picking. They pick the amount shown. Here's our amount shown, 20 pounds of apples. If they share the apples equally, how many pounds of apples does each person get? Let X represent the weight in pounds of apples that each person gets. So now we have to fill out this little diagram that they give us. The first box is the number of people. Well, it says up here that it's a group of 4 people. So we have 4 people. Remember that little dot means multiplication. Pounds of apples per person. Do we know how many pounds of apples everyone's getting yet? And since we don't, our directions tell us to let X represent the weight that each person gets. And 4 times whatever X is going to equal the total weight of the apples. So 4 times X is going to equal 20. When we write an equation to represent this problem, we can write the 4 and the X right next to each other. When they're written, when you have your coefficient and your variable written side by side, it shows that you are multiplying. In the box, it says to model the equation using algebra tiles. How many X tiles are in your model? How many 1 tiles? So I'm going to draw, we know that they're going to be, the pounds are going to be split up into 4 groups. So I'm going to draw like this. Okay, and then if I draw the individual pounds, I'm just going to split them up of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Ooh. So if we have split our pounds into 4 equal groups, I'm going to say, X equals the number of ones we have there in the box next to it. So X would equal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 4 groups of 5 each. So how many groups, how many equal groups do you need to divide your model into to solve for X? Well, we need to split it into 4 equal groups because the apples are being split between the 4 people. So 4 equal groups, 1 group for each of the 4 people. Okay. Draw circles around the tiles you drew for part C to separate the tiles into equal groups. Well, I already had boxes drawn around them because that is just how my mind worked. And then it asks us how many 1 tiles are in each group. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 tiles per group. And then the next question asks, how many pounds of apples does each person get? It means each person gets 5 pounds. It also means that X equals 5. Because if we do 4X equals 20, and we put in 5 for x, 4 times 5, 5, 10, 15, 20. Yep, we got the right answer. Okay, let's turn over to page 289. On page 289, we start at the top with the division property of equality. And kiddos, you should already have that written in your notes as one of your vocabulary words with the definition you got from the glossary. So it says on our textbook page, the division property of equality states that you can divide both sides of an equation by the same non-zero number, and the two sides will remain equal. So that means we can divide on both sides of the equal sign using the same number. It just can't be 0. And then both sides should stay the same, should be equal to each other. So, what is the value of x in the equation 7x equals 119? Well, to be able to find the x in a multiplication equation, we have to use the opposite operation. The opposite of multiplication is division, so we know that we need to divide both sides of the equation by the same non-zero number to get x all by itself on one side. So to get x by itself, I would have to divide by 7 on both sides of the equal sign, because then the 7 cancels out, and we have x equals 119 over 7. So now we have to do some dividing. I'm going to do that off to the side here. 119 divided by 7. 7 goes into 11 one time. 11 minus 7 is 4. Bring down the 9. Ooh, 7 goes into 49 7 times. 7 times 7 is 49. Boom. There we have it. So, that means that x equals 17. For question B, it says to check the solution, substitute your answer in the original equation. So, up here we got 17 for x. So 7 times 17 does equal 119. You wind up with 119 equals 119. Did our solution check out? Well, let's go ahead and multiply it just to make sure. 7 times 7 is 49. Oops, there we go. Carry the 4. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4 more is 11. So yep, we wind up with 119. So yes, our solution checks out. Next up, we have the multiplication property of equality, which you should have also written in your notes. This property states that you can multiply both sides of an equation by the same number, and the two sides will remain equal. So, what is the value of x in the equation x divided by 6 equals 9? Okay, so up here with the division property, to figure out the value of your variable, when you're multiplying, you had to use the opposite operation, and we had to divide. Alright, so down here, we're trying to do some dividing, but we have to multiply on both sides of the equal sign to find our value for x. So, multiply on both sides of the equation by the same number to get x alone on one side. Well, to get x by itself on this left side, we are going to have to multiply by 6 on both sides, because the 6 will cancel out. And you wind up with x equals 6 times 9. 6 times 9 equals 54. Now for B, it says to check the solution, substitute your answer in the original equation. So we are going to put 54 in there in place of x. So we have 54 divided by 6 equals 9. Well, if we, you guys know your multiplication facts, and you guys know your division facts, and you should know that 54 divided by 6 is 9. Does our solution check out? Yes, it does. For C, down here at the bottom, find the value of x if you know that x over 10 equals 9. Describe how you found the solution. So on the left side, we're dividing x divided by 10. That means we have to multiply to find the value of x. So if we have x over 10 equals 9, we're going to have to multiply the left side by 10 because we need to get the x all by itself. If we multiply the left side by 10, we need to multiply the right side by 10. So the two 10s cancel out, and we know, and I'm going to bring my x down below. Put my equal sign back. 9 times 10 is 90, so x equals 90. All right, turn your page over to page 290, and we're just going to do the top half of the page. We'll stop at check understanding. So for number 4, it says, a bag of 5 plum tomatoes weighs 1 pound. If each tomato weighs the same amount, what is the cost of 1 tomato? Use the equation 5x equals 1.85. So to solve the equation 5x equals 1.85, we have to do something to both sides of the number. Well, we're multiplying, and in order to get x all by itself, we have to divide. We have to do the opposite of multiplication. We have to divide both sides of the number, or the equation, I'm sorry, by the number what? Well, to get x by itself, we have to divide by 5. Question B says, the result of performing the same operation to both sides of the equation leads to the solution x equals blank. All right. So, if we have 5x equals 1.85, and we have to divide both sides of the equation by 5, those 5's cancel out. We wind up with x equals, let's see, 1.85 divided by 5. 5 goes into 18 3 times. 8 minus 5 is 3. Bring down the 5. 5 goes into 35 7 times. So x should equal 0.37 because you have to put your decimal back up into your quotient. All right. So x would equal 0.37. Graph your solution on the number line. So we have to go down here 0.3, 0.35, and 0.4. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so if we have 0.35, 0.36, 0.37 would go right there. So to check the solution, we need to put our answer into the original equation. So if we try 5 times 0.37, it should equal 1.85. And it does, because we're brilliant geniuses. Does our solution check out? Yes, it does. So it tells us to interpret our answer because they're asking us what the cost is of each tomato if there's 5 tomatoes in this 1 pound bag. Well, 5 times x would equal 37, 5x, and x equals 0.37. That means the cost per tomato is 37 cents. So I'm going to have that written here in my notes. Make sure you have all of this completed as well as your, on your notebook paper, the, your lesson title, the vocabulary words, the learning goal, and then you come over and take care of your textbook pages. All right, I'll see y'all at school. Bye.